Welcome back to The Lost Tactician. Today, we're unearthing a story that rewrites everything you think you know about medieval engineering. Not through magic, but through mastery. Forget the fantasy of secret formulas. The real story is one of builders who looked at wood and transformed it through knowledge, observation, and discipline into structures that have outlasted empires. Every medieval craftsperson faced the same enemy: decay. Fungi and insects consume wood as food. Medieval builders didn't stop this process. They controlled the conditions that allowed it to flourish. The foundation began in the forest itself. Master carpenters understood that not all oak is equal. The best timber came from slow-growing trees in dense forests, developing tight, dense grain. Old-growth heartwood is naturally saturated with tannins, chemical compounds that repel insects and resist fungal attack. This wasn't accidental. It was observation refined through generations. Seasonal timing was equally critical. Medieval foresters felled trees in winter, when sap, that sugary, starch-rich substance attracting decay organisms, retreated into the roots. Summer-felled timber would be saturated with nutrients inviting infestation. This wasn't superstition. It was strategy. What followed was the most demanding test: seasoning. After felling, timber was stacked outdoors for years, allowing moisture to slowly evaporate. Modern construction rushes this process with kilns, creating stress that leads to splitting. Medieval builders understood that time was an investment. A timber aged for 3 years would settle completely before carrying a building's weight. The wood became stable, almost inert. But material knowledge alone wouldn't save these structures. Medieval architects designed buildings to actively protect the wood itself. This is the breakthrough moment. A building must defend its most vulnerable component. Imagine a timber frame built directly on wet earth. Within years, those bottom beams would rot. Medieval builders solved this with raised stone foundations. The wooden frame was lifted onto stone plinths, creating an air gap that allowed wood to breathe and dry. Stone protected wood. Each material served its purpose. Above ground, architecture itself became a water-shedding system. Steep roofs with generous overhangs directed rain away from walls. Upper floors extended beyond lower stories, creating natural umbrellas protecting the foundation. Every angle, every projection served one purpose: keep moisture away from timber. The joinery reveals the same philosophy. Medieval carpenters created mortise and tenon joints, intricate wooden puzzles where beams locked into each other with mechanical precision. Wooden pegs secured these connections, creating a system that could flex and settle without opening gaps where moisture entered. No metal fasteners that could corrode, just wood joining wood, sealed and protected. Even perfect design had its limits, you know. Exposed timbers required active treatment. Medieval builders employed techniques that, honestly, modern science only recently understood. Charring was one of the most sophisticated. When wood risked ground contact or, say, constant moisture, craftspeople deliberately burned the surface, creating a charcoal layer. The charred surface becomes hydrophobic, repelling water. It resists insect penetration. The carbon becomes inhospitable to fungal growth. Some builders used pitch or asphalt, creating waterproof seals on ship hulls and exposed timbers. Others employed linseed oil, which penetrated the grain and hardened into lasting protective barriers. In some cases, timber was steeped in salt water or mineral-rich solutions for extended periods. This displaced residual sap, removing food sources for decay organisms, while infusing the wood with mineral compounds hostile to fungal colonization. A timber pulled from such a bath was chemically transformed. It didn't rot, didn't split, didn't surrender to time. When we examine a medieval timber frame building today, we're looking at the physical manifestation of complete knowledge. Every detail, from old-growth oak selection to roof angle to charred foundation posts, served a single purpose: survival. These weren't accidental discoveries. They were hard-won through generations of craftspeople who respected their materials and anticipated their enemies. Modern construction has largely abandoned these principles. We treat wood with chemical pesticides instead of understanding seasonal felling. We dry timber in kilns instead of allowing natural seasoning. We rely on coatings instead of designing buildings that shed water through architecture. We build structures designed to last 20 or 30 years before replacement. Medieval builders designed for centuries. They weren't thinking about quarterly profits. They were thinking about soldiers, families, communities. They designed for endurance because endurance was survival. They achieved it through mastery, through understanding materials, respecting their properties, and building systems that worked with nature. As we face sustainability challenges and resource scarcity, we're rediscovering what medieval builders always knew. The most durable structures are those built with intention, designed to last, constructed from materials understood at a fundamental level. The alchemical secret wasn't a potion, it was knowledge, it was discipline. History teaches us that mastery isn't magical. It's observation, discipline, and learning from those who came before. Medieval builders faced an enemy we often forget, time itself. They built defenses through understanding, engineering solutions that worked with nature's laws rather than against them. When you stand before a half-timbered house that has endured 600 years, you're witnessing the victory of knowledge over entropy. This lesson extends beyond construction. Whether medieval buildings or modern survival, the principle is identical. Master your fundamentals, understand your enemy, design systems that work with reality, and commit to excellence that lasts. That's the real alchemy. If you're drawn to stories where human mastery and historical insight converge, subscribe to The Lost Tactician. Like and share this deep dive into how history, engineering, and the relentless pursuit of excellence shape civilization. The next lesson from the past is waiting.